Hey everyone, let me firstly begin to greet my lecturer, Mr. Valin. This is the presentation of Mr. Anela Prudent Portello on the CDD711. The theme for this particular assignment is that the problem that I've identified in as far as curriculum is concerned is that I want to design a responsive King Inza TVET College curriculum frameworks that are informed by syllabus and content that is aligned to the business industry and the community needs. Upon my presentation, I will generate the curriculum solutions that have been identified for curriculum problems, and I'll choose the best solutions that I'll have to develop for King Inza TVET colleges and taking into its context. And as King Inza TVET College, we are situated in a rural state in the Eastern Cape province, which is formerly known as Transkei region, which is comprises of 5 campuses, which is Duja campus, Tsandane campus, Teko campus, Msobomvu campus, and Willowvale campus. So the curriculum solution that is developed, that is going to be developed, it will able to respond very well to the King Inza TVET College context. And I'll able to summarize assignment 1, I'll able to summarize assignment 2, and also address all the 5 aspects that have been indicated in the rubric in those particular assessments. And I'll generate the curriculum solutions for the identified problem at King Inza TVET College. I'll also choose the best solutions that I think as King Inza need to develop and able to respond to the context. The identified King Inza TVET College curriculum problem firstly is that our college and campuses, academic board members and the deputy principal have sat in a meeting, and we have identified that in report 191 or the NATED programs, the policies and the guidelines, especially in the programs of marketing, public management, as well as public relations, they've got an outdated syllabus, which is dated back as from 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s, which needs to be reviewed, and the curriculum needs to change on its own. And it is as a result of the non-involvement. There's a non-involvement in the participation of all stakeholders, which results to the mismatch between the serious gaps on the curriculum which is offered by the college vis-a-vis the business industry standards. So the non-involvement of the business industry in developing the curriculum that is responsive towards their need and their requirements is the major challenge, and it is the most problem. So in most of the instructional offering and the modules the contents offered in report 191, they are mostly irrelevant, and at times the textbooks that are used are no longer available, and the publishers and the content and the context is already outdated. We are not using the ebooks. We are not yet par in terms of using the online blended teaching and learning, and not yet effectively, especially on computer related subject. And we are also faced with the unstable internet connectivity network problem as a result of the load shedding. So also our computer laboratories are not sufficient enough for us to be able to effectively implement the blended teaching and learning in our classroom. When I'm scrutinizing how old the curriculum is at King Inza, definitely in NCV, you'll understand that the subject guidelines and the assessment guidelines were developed some time back in 2007. And as far as the head 2014 report, it tells you that the assessment guidelines as well as your quality standards in terms of the internal tests, the assignments, the practical tests, their relevance to the industry standards, they are far away from that, and it compromises negatively the quality of both formative as well as the summative assessment. And the practical assessment tasks on their own, they are unable to be implemented properly because the the equipment it's old. I mean, even on the practical assessment guidelines, you'll find out that the resources that are mentioned there, they are no longer available when you go to the shops. So it means there is a need for a syllabus for NCV as well as report 191 to be changed, and it needs to evolve because of globalization. In NATED syllabus curriculum policies, they date back, as I've indicated, in 1980s, 1990, and even 2000. An introduction of the FET Act of 2006 compelled the merger of the TVET sectors that they must merge into 50 public TVET colleges. Hence, there was an amended act which is now called the Continuing Education and Training Act, which is more of taking now TVET sector to be more of offering vocational education and training. That's why you'll find our government currently speaking of producing artisans, speaking of fourth industrial revolution. So they are more of now incorporating technology into education and training, and they want to digitalize education and training. Explicit indication of curriculum, whether it is in line or it fits in the different industries, and its impact on the identified problem. Yes, there's a lack of clear policy that allows business industry experts to play a meaningful role in terms of the curriculum development. Why? Because the Department of Higher Education and Training have centralized designing of the curriculum, have centralized how the curriculum must be implemented, have centralized how this must unfold. As a result, it is difficult for the business industry now to have a say in the curriculum development, to have a say in how it must be implemented. And even they are reluctant to open up for us to be hosted in their workplaces so as to incorporate both the theoretical part as well as the practical part of the syllabus and the curriculum. So this also contributes immensely negatively to the lecturers as well as the students' poor performance, because there are skills gaps that we can able to see that indeed some of the lecturers, they lack the industry experience. As a result, because of the lack of partnership and formal partnership, public private partnership, it makes it difficult now for us to have what is called the work integrated learning as well as work exposure training. So the business industry needs to be put on board. We need to establish relations to that. And most of the business industries, it's difficult for them to accommodate us. And if they accommodate us, it's a limited number of lecturers and limited number of students. And in a rural TVET college like the King Insa TVET College in the Eastern Cape, most of the industries after 1994 they closed down. So it's difficult. You have to travel miles away to able to find host employers. So incorporation of host employers, it will be very much important to ensure that the curriculum that is offered at King Insa TVET College, it is in line with what are the expectations and the quality standards that are expected by the business industry. The lecturer profile in terms of the training skills and the abilities at King Insa TVET College, especially at Didwa campus. I'm managing 31 lecturers at Didwa campus, and I do not have a DV2, which is the HOD. I have 3 senior lecturers, which are at the ages between 40 to 45 years. They are holding the PAD honors in each, and they are having more than 10 years of TVET sector. I have 28 lecturers who are between 30 years to 42 years. They are professionally qualified, and they all possess the minimum qualifications which are required, such as the national and diploma in an area of specialization like in marketing or public relations, as well as either postgraduate certificate in education or bachelor of education in economic management and sciences. I also have 3 of my lecturers who are professionally unqualified, meaning they do not possess a qualification in terms of teaching methodology or a teaching qualification. So 23 lecturing staff are competent also as assessors. 19 are also competent as moderators. Only 3 IT and computer lecturers possessing the industry experience. Consultation in terms of participation and input from the students, lecturers, and the industry partners. In my engagement with the SRC, they've raised sharply the issue of the snail pace in terms of the placement for work-based exposure training as well as work integrated training, meaning which there's limited time for them to able to practice what they've learned in the class. And the lecturers also, they've raised concern in terms of the drastic curriculum changes that are taking place with the DHET, but a snail pace in terms of changing the curriculum, because it is dating far back, the curriculum that we're having at the institution, which needs to change. So in my opinion, it's a fact that curriculum and frameworks of the college and the DHET are dated and needs to be changed. The non-involvement and the limited participation of business industry partners in designing and developing the TVET sector have a negative effect, and we do not meet the expectations of the job in there. So the colleges need to revitalize. So summary of assignment 2 is that the reasons why the issues existed King Insa, it is because of the centralized development of the curriculum by Department of Higher Education, which limits now the subject experts to come and advise on the curriculum changes. And also another issue, the limited funding that we continuously experience, which makes us difficult to create an ICT infrastructure that is enabling. So areas where these issues existed, King Inza, Department of Higher Education curriculum development policies, procedures, and regulations, the outdated syllabus, the subject assessment guidelines, the lack of fostering public-private partnership between the college as well as the business partners. So the limited space to afford us work integrated learning as well as work-based exposure training, it becomes an issue. Who is affected by these issues at King inside TVET College? One, the integrity and the validity of the TVET College curriculum and qualification is compromised. The quality of blended teaching and learning experience at our college is jeopardized. Even the business industry, economic growth is stagnant. It can grow. Why? Because we are offering curriculum that is irrelevant. And our college vision and the mission goals were unable to now achieve them. Considered solutions to the identified problems currently is that management, all the strategic partners, they need to meet and acknowledge firstly that the curriculum policy framework, the syllabus must be able to change, and we must be able to establish now a committee that is inclusive of the head officials, the college officials, as well as the business industry, come up with a curriculum that is inclusive, a curriculum that is responsive, and a curriculum that is informed by the business industry partners, and ensure that they participate in terms of the evaluation and the assessment of it. The curriculum solutions for the identified problems at King Initiative. You must design an inclusive curriculum development policy with clear terms of reference as to who must do what. The business industry role, the roles of the Department of Higher Education, the role of the college, the students, as well as the lecturers. We must be able to establish long-term business partnerships with the department as well as the strategic partners. We must source sufficient funding to ensure that we have an ICT infrastructure to create an enabling environment for quality teaching and learning. The best workable solutions for those chosen that are responsive towards King is that once we establish inclusive formal national training boards, the head officials, Umalus, quality council for the trades and the occupational industry and all the industry partners, once we formidable form that particular committee, it will enable us to develop clear terms of reference in terms of what are the functional duties, what are the curriculum frameworks, designing of the curriculum, assessment bodies, the moderation, the management of examination, and the marketing, the evaluation as well as certification of the work that we would have done. It will make it easy for us to decide and appoint, persons who are responsible for the issuing of the examination certificates, and will be able to know the centers where we are going to be host employers and the workplaces for the practical training to take place. We'll be able also to know who is going to be responsible to monitor and supervise such particular integration of theory into practical. So also the duration which students are going to take now in terms of those particular practicals. So in a nutshell, the best partnership that we must able to conclude is that curriculum framework, the syllabus, and the course contents implemented in our college is outdated. It needs to be reviewed. It needs to be changed. And non-involvement and limited participation of business industry, it is detrimental. It is the founding principles that we must ensure that we quickly do that. And also, we must ensure that in the designing of the curriculum on its own, work integrated learning, work-based exposure, business industry partners are at the center of designing that and ensuring that that becomes a reality. And our references are your DHET education, the green paper of post-schooling and education, the FET, the Department of Higher Education training, DHET FET strategic plan, GEWA, improving quality and expanding further, Penalties, as well as CRAC 2016 and Umalos 24 report on the quality assurance examination assessments of the national examinations. Those are my references.